The paleo lifestyle. It's been touted for weight loss, but there's a new reason to consider this popular trend. It could be the solution for your pain. No pills, no gimmicks, and no more hurting.
Today, the paleo diet is as popular as ever and shows no signs of slowing down. There's no calorie counting, no portion control, and no dairy, grains, or sugar. Instead, the paleo diet gets back to prehistoric basics, focusing on meat, vegetables, healthy fats, and nuts. Advocates say the paleo diet can be effective for weight loss, and now some think this diet may also be the new frontier in pain management. Paleo foods are rich in omega-3s and antioxidants that have anti-inflammatory properties, which may ease back pain, arthritis, stiffness, and joint pain.
I had really terrible irritable bowel syndrome, lower abdominal pain, bloating, cramps, also had terrible migraines and lower back pain that would wake me up in the middle of the night. I heard about the paleo diet through word of mouth. It was a game changer for me. All of my symptoms subsided after I tried the paleo diet.
So I was suffering from excruciating knee pain for over a year. My knees were completely swollen and I couldn't even use the stairs anymore. I tried over-the-counter medications, I tried supplements. Nothing seemed to help at all. I initially started the paleo diet as a way to keep fit and to lose weight. But what I was really surprised by is that my knee pain completely went away. I was also suffering from back pain and that went away as well. And today I feel wonderful.
Mark Sisson is a leading expert in the paleo lifestyle and the author of The Primal Blueprint. He's here to help us with this. You actually had a pain problem that you believe the paleo approach cured.
I had several. I had irritable bowel syndrome for 35 years. It literally dictated my life. And then at the age of 45, I started getting arthritis in my hands and feet. So when I went to the paleo lifestyle, within 30 days, all my aches and pains disappeared forever, well, so far. And it was transforming, really.
Are these shoes a reflection of your foot pain, or do you get those with the paleo program?
Well, a little of both. I mean, these allow free movement. We're going to talk about that today. The fact that I'm not bound in restrictive shoes and I can move my joints around.
All right, so we've got two guests, Elaine and Julie. You saw the little tape package. They're in our audience. They say they cured their pain with the paleo. Elaine, you've had stomach pain, I gather.
I've had, similar to Mark, IBS for over 10 years and just terrible lower abdominal pain, cramping, bloating. It really dictated my life as well.
And how has it been since going on the paleo
Since
program?
I've gone paleo, the symptoms have been gone. It's just been a game changer for me.
And Julie, you had knee pain.
I did, Dr. Oz. I'm a very physically active person. I love to run, I love to hike, and it was getting to the point that I was suffering from such bad knee pain that I could no longer enjoy the activities that I loved. After starting on the paleo diet, the pain went away within like 7 to 10 days. It was amazing.
That quickly?
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. We've got a paleo plan that promises these kinds of results, and I'm excited about it because I think we use too many pills. And there are things we can take into our body in other ways, not a pill form, might work. Step one is to eliminate inflammatory foods, grains, dairy, and refined sugars. All the examples you give here.
Absolutely. So these are the foods that can upset our immune systems and cause the immune systems to put us into a state of inflammation. And inflammation is at the root of most pains. So in particular, grains can irritate the lining of the intestines, can cause gas, bloating, IBS. You eliminate these foods and you are literally treating pain at the source.
Let me show you what we're talking about. This is a fundamental insight about what happens when you eat these kinds of inflammatory foods. And besides the grains, again, the dairy and the simple carbohydrates, the sugars become a problem. Think of your body as having a continuous flame, but it's on low burn. You want that. The inflammation is always in there, but your body's actually helping to keep it quiet, but it's ready to spring up at any moment. When you eat foods like the grains we showed, the dairy, some of these processed foods, it's like throwing tinder into the fire. The fire gets large, too large for you to control. It gets larger and bigger and faster. Now it's this burning flame inside your body that can lead to the irritable bowel we heard about, the joint pain, the headaches, all these other back pain types of problems, and many, many more kinds of issues. So you take a good thing, a little bit of inflammation that your body can use to protect itself, and you turn it into a raging forest fire that you no longer control. So let's take this idea into step two, which is to build a paleo plate of pain-reducing foods. And they work principally by doing the opposite of what these foods that we don't want to have would do. So explain to us the components of the paleo plate.
Okay, so contrary to popular belief, the paleo diet isn't a meat-centric diet. The majority of your plate should be colorful vegetables. there should be some protein on there. So some, like a palm size, not the fingers, but the palm size portion of protein. Generally a dollop, as we say, of healthy fats. Right. And if you have a sweet tooth, maybe some fruit.
So again, contrary to popular culture belief, it's not all that. Now, let's go through very specifically. Start with the cruciferous vegetables, which are a big part of the veggies.
Right, so all the veggies have great properties, but the cruciferous, for people who are in pain in particular, contain sulforaphanes. Now, the sulforaphanes have been shown in research to block the enzymes that degrade the parts of the joints that are giving us the movement. Right. So when you have osteoarthritis or leading toward osteoarthritis, the cruciferous vegetables, the kale, the broccoli, the cabbage, the Brussels sprouts are great choices.
Yeah, but you have berries. I noticed you don't have other types of fruit as much. Why are the berries so important?
So fruit exists on a spectrum of awesome to not quite so awesome. And at the awesome end are the berries because they're low in sugar, but they're high in phytonutrients, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory properties.
All right, then we have the omega-3s. These are all the fish oils kinds of things, but you also have the fish themselves, which is your protein source here.
Right, so omega-3s are the anti-inflammatory healthy fats that we want to try to get more of in our diet. Salmon is like the go-to for omega-3s. The salmon itself is rich in omega-3s. The salmon skin is even richer in omega-3s. But you can also go to oily fish. I know you're a fan of sardines.
I love them. Oh.
Yeah. Grass-fed meats, eggs from pastured hens, all are great sources of omega-3 fatty acids.
Yeah, and just to point out again, the skin has most of the omega-3s. I didn't know that actually, but I do like that part the most. Let's talk about oils for a second. A lot of folks run away from these oils, but there are specific ones you think are very valuable for the paleo program.
Well, so coconut oil, olive oil for sure, but avocado oil is my favorite for the paleo program because it's rich in monounsaturated fats. It has a lot of antioxidants. Again, we're looking for these anti-inflammatory properties that these foods have, and it has components that help the joints repair themselves. So it's wonderful tasting. 2 tablespoonfuls
a day?
Yeah, I mean that's maybe even per meal. I mean we're talking about using healthy fats to an extent that these will enhance our lives with the taste of the food. We can cook with avocado oil. It's got a high smoke point, so it's a wonderful choice all around.
And finally, spices, turmeric spices in particular.
Well, all your spice rack seems to be the best place to go for these anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving properties. I mean, cinnamon, clove, rosemary, garlic, these are all possessing high antioxidant values. But my favorite is turmeric, and because it contains curcumin, which has been shown in a lot of studies to boost the body's production of glutathione. Now, glutathione is sort of our internal antioxidant system.
So I've not talked about this on the show, but when I do a workout or play a sport, I always take a shot of turmeric right when I'm done, which is the reason I think I don't have to crawl out of bed the next morning, because otherwise that would definitely happen to me. Okay, These are just a couple of examples of some plates that Elaine and Julie sent to us. Notice these paleo programs, very easy to create, but notice also, you can't really tell which one's breakfast and which one's lunch and which one's dinner, can you? It's impossible to tell. Mark, you actually say we shouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Right, there's no right time to eat protein. It's every time is the right time to eat protein. So if your breakfast consists of some salmon or some turkey or a lamb chop left over from last night's dinner, that's a paleo meal. A paleo meal is a paleo meal no matter when you eat it.
Yeah. That's the big difference for a lot of us, because breakfast almost always comes from this table over here. The stuff that we don't want to be eating all the time. Right? This is a typical breakfast food we will have, grains with some dairy. But if we eat last night's leftovers, which many cultures do, you're more effectively mimicking paleo. Okay, let's get to the 80-20 rule. There has to be a 20, an ability to cheat a little bit. All right, so 80% of the time you do the right thing.
Right.
20% of the time, what happens?
So, well, we strive for 100%, but the paleo diet is intended to be a lifetime sustainable eating strategy. So we have to allow for a little bit of cheating. If you come in at the end of the week and you tried for 100 and you came to 80%, it's all good. You're on your way to better health. But it's really about sustainability. And these are some of my favorite cheats.
Well, explain. These are usually, alcohol is not the first. I mean, many people do go to alcohol for pain, but they shouldn't be going to alcohol for pain.
Right.
So how does this approach help with the pain?
Well, alcohol in general is not necessarily a great thing for people to consume in quantities. The ethanol is toxic. But certain forms of alcohol, either at the end of the day and you're not good at handling stress, maybe to take the edge off, that might have a benefit in and of itself. But also, the hops in beer have an anti-inflammatory property, so 1 or 2 beers once in a while would be appropriate. Red wine, known for the resveratrol content, which has been researched tremendously over the past few decades. So again, it has almost analgesic properties in some mice studies. And finally, tequila, if you're going for the hard stuff. It's low in sugar. It has basically no carbohydrate. This is a margarita that was made with avocado, and it smells good, doesn't it? And
that's really good.
Yeah, and some orange. And you can spice it up with some cayenne pepper. Again, another great antioxidant from the spice rack.
Elaine, which is your choice here of pain-killing tools?
I gotta say, I love my glass of red wine.
So Julie, seriously, I could do the 80-20, I think, but when I started the 20, it could grow to 50 pretty fast. So how do you hold yourself back from taking the extra glass of wine or having one every single evening?
Well, I do enjoy my dark chocolate, I have to say. But when I look at things like alcohol for me, unfortunately, and dairy and bagels and things like that, I start more thinking about how bad it's going to make me feel rather than how good it's going to taste.
Well, that's a good, compelling reason. I mean, that's true. And you'll feel much better in a minute for not having done it. All right, come over here. Step 4 has nothing to do with food. Step 4 is about changing your position every 10 minutes. And We're going to put the audience through something in a second, but why is that so important?
Well, so our bodies are designed to move. Our genes expect us to move through space all day long. And here we are in this modern society confined to a chair at work, or we're standing up at a counter, or even a stand-up desk isn't necessarily the answer. The answer is to just find ways to move through space throughout the day whenever you can. Now, if you're at work, that means getting up out of your desk and walking around the office, if your boss will allow you to do that, of course. Exactly. Or it may just mean changing your seating position. Maybe spin the chair around and sit, toward the back of the chair, or cross your legs.
Everyone stand for a second, so I'll do this together. How many of you have crossed legs here, this and that? You stand and then sit right back down again. No one's going to mind you doing this.
Right.
Cross differently, flex something, do something.
When we're confined to one space all day long, we get shortened hip flexors, shortened IT bands, shortened Achilles, and those are sort of the root causes of some of the aches and pains that we carry around with us all day long. So mobility is so huge here.
And fidgeting, which is part of this, helps with a lot of different things that even go beyond paleo. Elaine, Julie, please join me if you don't mind. The last step is something that we often don't talk about in conjunction with paleo, but it's so important, Mark argues, in this area, which is how to sleep differently, literally sleep differently. We can use our pillows. So you can grab a bed, but Mark, come over here for a second.
Yeah.
Why is sleep so important for pain?
Well, sleep time is when the body repairs itself. Between quality sleep and the quality nutrients from the paleo diet, your body can rebuild, renew, regenerate, recreate itself. The genes are actually working overnight to do that and get rid of your pain. Now, quality sleep sort of is dependent upon this built-in, hardwired diurnal rhythm that we have, which would suggest that we would go to bed when the sun goes down and wake up when the sun comes up. Not all of us do that all the time, but that's the ideal scenario. So you'd go to bed before 10 p.m., wake up before 7.
And we have pillow tricks you want to show us. These are for specific pains that are very common in America. If you don't mind, explain how we can use pillows to deal with our pains while we're recovering with the paleo program.
Absolutely, and that's a good point, because a lot of times you'll recover these from the diet and you won't need these strategies. But for now, if you have stomach pain, I had GERD a lot. I had heartburn. Sleeping on the left side will help control that acid reflux that happens. So just sleeping on your left side is a quick, simple fix. Now, you might want to take more than one pillow if you're sleeping on your side, because you want the head, you want the neck, and the tailbone to be in alignment as you're sleeping, okay? Now, over years, I suggest people try to get the firmest mattress that they can comfortably sleep on. That's another important point about quality sleep. Now, if you have knee pain, one of the things about knee pain is, Julie, if you want to lie down, is to support your knees with maybe 2 pillows. So we'll put 2 pillows underneath your knees. That's great. Now, notice that she doesn't need 2 pillows under her head. You just want to comfortably support the neck and the head and alleviate the knee pain so that you can sleep comfortably through the night. Again, quality sleep. It's all about quality sleep. Now,
I'll do back pain.
You do back pain.
Which is my problem. You want a pillow in between my legs, is that right?
Absolutely.
I can sleep. What a great job sleeping on a job like this.
Yeah, so
I did it.
You did it. You're good. I mean, you're good for the evening. Now, one of the things you might want to do, however, is be willing to change positions as you sleep during the night. So fidgeting while you sleep is not a bad thing. Staying in one, if you rolled over to the other side, that would be fine as well.
Interestingly, this is actually how we put patients to sleep. And for anesthesia, we put pillows under their legs, put them under their heads just to get us to the most comfortable position.
Right.
I appreciate all the advice. The Paleo program, lots more to it on DrOz.com. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos to live the good life.